While on a routine patrol, Officer Kevin noticed a truck weaving erratically down the highway. Running the license plate, his concerns were quickly validated. The vehicle was reported stolen. As he activated his sirens and initiated the chase, an unsettling intuition gnawed at him. There was something disturbingly off about the family inside, but nothing could have prepared Kevin for what he discovered when he finally stopped the truck and opened the trunk. What did Officer Kevin find hidden in the stolen vehicle? And what drove the family to desperately flee from him? For Officer Kevin, the day began like any other, routine and uneventful. But it quickly spiraled into one of the most intense and unforgettable days of his 15-year career. A career that had already seen its share of challenges. Kevin, a seasoned officer, believed he'd seen it all, but today would prove otherwise. The truck driver was behaving erratically, making reckless decisions as if in a desperate rush. Speeding was just the beginning. Kevin sensed something more troubling was at play. Without hesitation, he initiated a pursuit, radioing the station to alert them to the unfolding situation. Leaning out of his window, Kevin shouted at the driver to stop and exit the vehicle with his hands up. This needed to end before anyone got hurt. There was still a chance to defuse the situation, but the driver either didn't hear him or chose to ignore the warning, slamming on the gas and tearing past Kevin's squad car. Now, Kevin's frustration was mounting. The situation was rapidly escalating toward a dangerous conclusion, and the reckless driver was on a collision course with disaster, one that could endanger everyone involved. With 3 police cars in pursuit and others setting up roadblocks, Kevin knew it was only a matter of time before they would apprehend the driver and ensure the safety of the family inside the truck. But then, out of nowhere, with the truck heading towards a gas station, somebody jumped out. It was clearly the driver. The truck, now without its driver, became a speeding missile on wheels. With a deafening crash, the truck collided head-on, coming to a jarring and definitive halt. Kevin, catching his breath, quickly radioed in the situation, preparing to approach the vehicle and ensure the safety of its passengers. As the door swung open, Kevin braced himself for what he might find, praying he wasn't too late. With the door now open, Kevin wasted no time reaching in. He grasped the nearest form, pulling it out with urgency. As Kevin laid each body on the ground, he noticed something deeply unsettling. The forms were limp, far too limp. There was no movement, no signs of breathing, no cries of distress. The skin felt oddly cold and rubbery to the touch. Confusion clouded Kevin's mind, and a cold dread began to settle in his chest. Had he been too late? The other officers began to gather around, their faces reflecting the same growing horror. The surrounding officers stared in disbelief, whispers of confusion spreading like wildfire. What's going on? Why puppets? Where's the real family? The questions were endless, but answers were scarce. Kevin, his face a mask of disbelief, tried to process the bizarre tableau before him. The weight of the situation pressed down on them all. How had they been so deceived? The questions were many, but the answers remained elusive. Amidst the confusion, a chilling thought struck Kevin, the driver. In the chaos of the discovery, the man behind the wheel had been momentarily forgotten. A quick scan of the area confirmed Kevin's fears. The driver had vanished. Officers fanned out, their radios crackling with updates and directives. The search perimeter expanded, encompassing nearby streets, alleys, and buildings. On the outskirts of town stood an old, dilapidated factory. Its windows were boarded up, and its walls bore the scars of time. Kevin approached cautiously, every sense on high alert. As backup arrived, Kevin quickly briefed the officers. They needed to be strategic. The goal was clear: leave no stone unturned and ensure the driver had no escape routes. As Kevin navigated the labyrinthine passages, he paused, hearing a faint sound, footsteps. They echoed through the vast space, betraying the presence of someone else. Turning the corner, Kevin's flashlight beam caught a fleeting figure darting into the shadows. The silhouette was unmistakable. It was the driver. Kevin sprinted after the fugitive, his footsteps echoing loudly in the vast space. The chase continued, the stakes now even higher. The pursuit led them to a rusty staircase, spiraling upwards to the factory's upper levels. Reaching the second floor, the driver found himself at a dead end. Panicking, he glanced around, spotting an old window. Without hesitation, he sprinted towards it, smashing through the glass in a desperate leap of faith. Kevin arrived just in time to see the man's silhouette against the night sky, descending rapidly. Rushing to the window, Kevin looked down to see the driver sprawled on the ground below, motionless. The fall had taken its toll, but as other officers converged on the fallen figure, the man stirred, groaning in pain but clearly alive. The chase had come to an end, but for Kevin and the driver, their confrontation was far from over. Swiftly, one of the officers moved in, snapping handcuffs around the driver's wrists. Even in his weakened state, the man's eyes darted around, a mix of fear and defiance. Kevin, having made his way down from the second floor, joined the scene. His face was a mask of determination and curiosity. It was a twisted plan. The puppets were a distraction, a way to divert police attention while other parts of the plan were set into motion. The driver spoke of accomplices, of a larger criminal network, and of a plan to divert police resources. Kevin listened intently, realizing that this chase was just the tip of the iceberg in a much larger conspiracy. The police station buzzed with activity as the driver, now in custody, was led through its corridors. Inside the room, the atmosphere was thick with tension. A detective laid out the charges: grand theft auto, evading arrest, reckless endangerment, and the use of deceptive tactics, including the placement of a fake family in the stolen vehicle. The driver, realizing the gravity of his situation, looked down, his face a mask of regret. The consequences of his actions were becoming all too real. Internal Affairs swiftly stepped in, launching a thorough investigation. Trust within the force was shaken, and many wondered how deep the corruption ran. In the quiet of his office, Kevin sat, replaying the day's events in his mind. The chase, the discovery of the puppets, the driver's confessions. It was a lot to process. As the day faded into dusk, Kevin made his way to his car, the setting sun casting elongated shadows across the pavement. He longed for the simplicity of routine traffic stops and quiet patrols, but he knew the memory of this chase, with all its unexpected twists, would haunt him for a long time. In the courtroom, the air buzzed with anticipation as the trial began. The driver, now looking subdued and defeated, was led in, the metallic glint of handcuffs catching the light as the charges were read. Among them, the use of a fake family as a decoy. A ripple of shock spread through the room. Days turned into weeks as witnesses took the stand, evidence was meticulously laid out, and arguments were fiercely debated. The driver's use of lifelike puppets to simulate a family in the stolen truck became a central point of the case, revealing the extraordinary lengths he had gone to in his attempt to evade capture. At last, the jury returned with their verdict, guilty on all counts. The courtroom released a collective sigh of relief as justice was served. Back in his uniform, Officer Kevin stood before the mirror, adjusting his collar. The events of the past weeks had tested him deeply, shaking his beliefs and convictions. But as he faced his reflection, Kevin knew he was ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead.